Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bxb'S Bits and Bobs, episode 46, in sickness and in health, because both me and Richard have been under the weather. And this is going to be one of those episodes of lots of random noises, because it's like 1,000,000 degrees. I've got my window open. It sounds like my next door neighbors might be doing some fucking DIY as well, because, you know, timing. I've got a horrible sore throat. Richard's got hay fever.
I've got hay fever. You'll hear me sniff, and you'll probably hear the dog at some point. We could make a little game of this. It'll be like a BBC effects reel or something. See how many noises you can spot. Write them down.
Or drinking game. Like, so every time you hear a noise that isn't one of us speaking in the background, take a shot. So guaranteed by the end of 2 hours or whatever we go for, you'll be fucked up. Yeah. So that's always drink responsibly, though. So if you listen to the podcast while driving, make sure you use something to hide the fact that so that's my advice. What do you think, Richard? Is that fair?
You just froze then. I don't know if that's just my end or
cool, great. So we're having IT problems as well. This is fantastic. This is the whole corner. That's probably got. I bet I know what that is. I bet it's because I had to update my fucking laptop earlier. Windows 10 doing its great thing, and I bet you that's like broken everything. So I froze on my end as well, but I wasn't sure if it was just my end but it was everything. So I was just saying, you know, just conceal your alcohol when you're drinking while driving, so that you don't get in trouble with the police. That you know, I just think, you know, if you're gonna drink and drive, do it responsibly. Yeah. So how have you been, Rich? How's things?
I'm okay. I think busy as usual. I'm not going to drone on about work. I'll probably talk about work too much on these podcasts, but yeah, busy. I've got my half marathon tomorrow. That's the big event in Richard's world this week. So
good luck.
In aid of, thank you. I'm running in aid of Motor Neuron Disease Association, and if you find me on Twitter at Colonel Red, you'll probably find a link where you can sponsor me if you would like. That would be nice.
Always a good cause. Yeah, how hot is it? It's meant to be quite hot again tomorrow, isn't it? Like 20 something.
Yeah, I think so. So I think this is probably going to be done by the time it picks up the heat, though, because it starts at 8:30. So
right,
yeah, it shouldn't be too hot that time in the morning, I hope.
I mean, talking about the weather, the most important thing, obviously, is that for the royal wedding today, they had good weather. That was super. Obviously, Richard, you watched live. I know you're a big royalist, and you desperately love the royal family. So how was it?
Yeah, well, speaking of Twitter, I've had to not be on Twitter today because no one's talking about anything else.
Oh, because you wanted to avoid spoilers. I understand. Yeah, you don't want to get spoiled in a wedding, you know, because who knows how that's going to play out.
Just the big mystery, isn't it? Who is paying for this?
Sadly, that's not really a mystery, is it? That's sadly very true, very obvious who's paying for it. We're paying for it, aren't we? lucky people. I don't know. I don't care about the royal family. I don't care about people's weddings, and I rarely even care when they're my friends' weddings. Frankly, it's just like it's a good excuse for a party, but Jesus Christ, how is it? It's like such a big deal. I really don't. It's weird, isn't it? Like,
I'm not sure it is that big a deal. It's put out on TV that it is, but how many people really care? I'm not sure.
It does seem like they're trying. The BBC especially has been trying very hard to make it as if you should care. Like
they absolutely have an agenda when it comes to the royals. There's no balance there whatsoever.
It's it's just a whole load of shit that I don't care about. I mean, it's so ridiculous. I've never been into the royal family stuff, and it's not so much a politics thing. It's just a bunch of rich twats that don't have an effect on my life. Why would I care about them, really? You know,
that's a good point, actually. Yeah, because I do object to them on I suppose political grounds.
I
don't like the idea of one family being measurably more important than anybody else. I think that's not a great look for an equality stance, but yeah, other than that, it's just boring, isn't it?
It's super boring.
Basically just the Kardashians that you can't opt out of.
And I was informed today as well, having not been aware of it, that it was also the FA Cup final today.
Oh, was that a thing as well? Yeah,
that's happened. Like yeah, nerds like us probably don't care too much about such things. But I heard it was Man U and Chelsea, and I just thought to myself, shit. When I cared about football like 20 years ago, it was Man U and Chelsea.
Yeah.
Like, so it's not really changed, has it? Like, it'd be like if the wrestling was still Hulk Hogan and, you know, I don't know, somebody
like
Andre the Giant,
Triple H and Kurt Angle.
Oh,
like
hold on. Shit. You've used my analogy against me, you bastard. Though I might have kind of done that on purpose. Who knows? I think we should segue into what we've been watching on streaming services segment, which name I need to come up with that's a bit better than that.
It's supposed to be what have we done, or what do we want to talk about, but it is literally just Netflix.
Because
that says something about us.
Middle-aged married men who play a lot of video games and go to and work a lot. Beyond that, what do we have time to do? I mean, it's kind of like, you know, after all of that, I'm so fucking tired. I'd just rather put something on telly, you know? Like, I know it's pretty lame. We probably should have better hobbies. Look, you're doing something awesome tomorrow, mate. Much respect. Like, your marathon. You're doing something. That's hardcore. I would not be doing that. Like, so, not in a million fucking years. But no, I finished The Terror. Which I highly recommend. We talked about it last time.
Yeah.
Super... just awful, but in a good way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I haven't sorted it out yet. I've been in the middle of other stuff, but yeah, it sounds good from what you said.
It's fucking.
Recap for anyone that didn't. See us last time. We'll listen.
The Terror is this late 1800s set story about the Terror, which is a naval vessel and its sister ship that went to try and find the Northwest Passage in Antarctica, which is this trading route across the very top of the world, and kind of true story. They disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to them, and this is a dramatic adaptation, as it were, based on a novel of what went down up there, and it's grim as fuck. And it's super twisted, super dark, just very, very compelling stuff. Great performances, fantastic performances, and I found it really, really, really just compelling and just unmissable. Like, I just binged it as quick as I could get hold of them. Yeah, and then that sort of segues into the other show I've been watching, but I dropped off a little bit. But I'm kind of like, it's interesting to me that the news has happened of this cancellation in this season, because The Expanse has been cancelled at Sci-Fi, and I'm obviously a massive proponent for The Expanse. However, I have found this current season to be not as good as the previous two so far. So I can kind of see maybe why people have dropped off of it with the viewers, and also the behind the scenes deal of how this show like works in distribution. It's fascinatingly bad business for Sci-Fi. Like, do you know about this? Did you read any of this?
No.
So basically, the deal that Sci-Fi Channel had in the US was for linear domestic distribution only, which means they didn't have the streaming rights. They only had the live broadcast rights, the one-time live broadcast rights for every episode of the show. They got it first, obviously, but they didn't have streaming. In the US, streaming was Amazon, and international, it's Netflix. And in today's day and age, with the audience that The Expanse gets, I think most people don't want to watch it linearly. They want to binge, they want to watch on streaming, they want to watch when they can watch it, you know, especially that kind of audience. So their numbers on the Sci-Fi Channel were very poor. However, on the streaming services, it was very good. And it was costing Sci-Fi around $8 million an episode to have these rights. They didn't make the show. The show was made by an independent production company who still has all the rights and stuff, which means it might well get picked up by someone else like Netflix or Amazon. However, yeah, not a good deal. They must have really wanted some hard sci-fi to bolster their lineup when they picked that show up. But yeah, I can, from a financial point of view, not a great setup for them.
8 million per episode.
That is one of the numbers I read. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I can see why they dropped that then. Does that mean it's dead, or is it going to be
Brooklyn Nine-Nine got cancelled by one network and picked up by another, for example. That just happened this in the last few months. Another show I'm a big fan of, and it's just as likely that it might happen with The Expanse. There's a massive fan campaign around it, like bigger than Firefly or anything like that. It's absolutely huge. the money that's being put behind this campaign by the fans to get it brought back. So they're really trying hard, and I think it will quite likely happen, to be honest, especially as the production company has all the sets. They're the ones that hold the contracts. They're the ones that make the show. You know, it doesn't mean it's dead. It just needs another investor, basically, someone else to back it. And then, you know, if Netflix are willing to do it, or Amazon. But, you know, that's the problem, because it's two different services. Because so domestically Amazon and internationally Netflix, that makes it difficult, because Netflix picks up the show internationally and then sells it to Amazon to do it domestically. I mean, that might make it difficult for either of those parties to pick it up. So it'd be a shame if it doesn't get finished. I mean, this season has been a bit slow in places, but you know, I can see where it's going, having read the books, and it is gonna be awesome. So it'd be a shame if they don't have the opportunity to like finish it off properly. But you know, that is the nature of genre TV. We're lucky to get anything, really, sometimes. Like especially with the I had a little freeze there. I saw that. I caught that one. I'm trying to keep an eye out so I don't lose my place. Sorry?
Breathe on the freezes.
Yes. Try not to think about how much my throat is hurting right now. But yeah, no, that it could come back. Hopefully it does. You've not watched any, have you?
No, well, I've watched a couple episodes, but yeah, on the upside, if it is dead, that's a digestible amount for me to catch up on, I guess, knowing that it has an end to it.
I'm in this place now that I know that it's been cancelled. I'm thinking I'm just going to wait for the whole season to finish before I watch all of what's left in one go, which is probably adding to the problem. But there you go. It just makes I consuming stuff like that so much better. I just watched the whole sort of second half of the season of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 4, and got back into that. That was incredibly good, which I was really surprised about how good that was. I'm a bit of a Marvel trip right now after Infinity War. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. And I think if you want, you could use that, sir, as a segue, and we'll give a spoiler warning.
Segue. Yeah. Let's talk about Avengers. I watched it now.
Go on. You saw it more recently than me now, so yeah. Go on. All right, big warning. It's been a few weeks. If you haven't seen this fucking film, what are you doing? But skip ahead through this. I couldn't tell you how long, but we're going to talk about it now. Big spoiler warning. We're going to get into it a bit, I think. But I'm curious, Richard. Tell me. Go on. What do you think?
I liked it, but I'm scared about where it's going to go. So for people that haven't seen it but want how are we going to do this? Because if we're just going to spoil it, you just launch right into it and assume people have already know the setup and everything.
Yeah, but this isn't a film. For fuck's sake, it's not going to be your first Avengers movie, is it?
I'm not going
to can't be
23 movies. And,
no, if this was your first Marvel movie, you'd go in there and be the most confused person ever. But that's kind of why I love it. This is because this is a film made for people that are the fans. They're not making this for everybody else, which is why I think it's so impressive and brave and interesting. Is because it is just for the fans. But they can do it now because who's not a fan? Everybody loves these movies. But anyway, what did you think?
Yeah, good point. I really enjoyed that they were brave enough to kill off a bunch of people. And boy, did they kill off a bunch of people.
Half the people, Richard.
Half of the people.
Yeah.
In the world.
In the universe.
In the universe. So, yeah, that was a jaw-dropping end.
Crazy.
But yeah, did you ever watch Heroes Series 1, Season 1?
Yes, the only good season of Heroes, yes.
Yeah, and it was amazing, wasn't it? Until you realised what they were going to do with it in Season 2. And I get that feeling from Avengers.
Really?
Yeah, I do have this feeling that it's high stakes jeopardy. There's so much at stake. Loads of people are dead. What are they going to do next? I think it's just all going to rewind and sort itself out.
Let me, as the comic book,
you might know better. You're the comic book guy,
right? First of all, I absolutely adored this film. I thought the action was impeccable. It was everything I wanted from spectacle. You know, it was like this is that Marvel film. It almost felt like they maybe intentionally made some of the previous ones leading up to this a bit quieter and smaller in scope, so that when you got to this one, you'd have your fucking mind blown. And it certainly was. But the kind of prevailing theory is that Tony, Steve, and Thor, so Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor, who will all survive at the end of this, will probably sacrifice themselves to bring back everybody else. The reason being, there's a few reasons for this, that, you know, the problem with this is the behind the scenes nowadays, right? You can't, back when Iron Man first came out, you know, there was no need for Disney. There was no need for Marvel to announce their upcoming slate, because who gave a shit, right? Now we know we've got Spider-Man 2, you know, just a few months after the next one, so he's back. We've got Black Panther 2 in the works, so he's back. Doctor Strange is in the works, he's coming back. So we know these characters are coming back, right? What we also know is that contracts are coming up on Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Hemsworth, right? So they're probably not coming back in the same capacity.
And
so
that makes me comics.
Sorry?
On their characters die in the comics as well.
Oh, all the time. Don't worry about it. It's comic books, mate. Just because you die, don't mean you can't come back. So the theory is, especially as one of the major themes of this film, if you think back, was we don't spend a life to save a life. You remember that came up a lot in Infinity War. So especially from Steve, especially from Cap, he kept saying, you know, we don't sacrifice ourselves to save others. You know, that isn't how it works. Everybody will survive. I think what they'll do in the next one is they'll flip down his head, and it'll Steve realizing the only way to bring back half the universe, especially as the film ends on him saying, "Oh God," when he realizes what's happened. I think he's coming to it. He's going to realize that the only way to bring this shit back, there'll be a massive level of sacrifice, and it'll be Steve, Tony, and Thor. I mean, it has to be. It'll be poetic. It'll be beautiful. It'll be absolutely destroy you, like, emotionally, I would imagine, watching it. But not that Infinity War didn't. I mean, my God, when Spidey dies in Tony's arms, it's just like, holy shit. They've only had 1 and a bit movies to establish that relationship, right? And I think they've done that. They did that really well. The fact that he's losing his surrogate son, basically, in his arms. And it was absolutely heartbreaking. You know, deaths that we might not get a rewind on. Things like that happened before the thumb snap, as it were. Gamora, you know, she was killed completely separate to that. And in relation to that, oh my God, I screamed out in the cinema. I think people thought I was a bit weird when the Red Skull came back. I got so fucking excited because he's my all-time favorite Marvel villain. I love, and I was super marking out on that. But yeah, so Gamora might not come back. I don't think we'll see Loki again, at least not for quite a while. I think as is the case in these things, they know how popular Tom Hiddleston's Loki is. They'll give it a while, and then they make a big deal about his return. You know, I think he's a fucking god. Of course he can come back. You know, it won't be hard for them to work it out. It really wouldn't. It's never hard. Trust me. So time travel, alternate dimensions, you know, all my cosmic essence got trapped in a pocket dimension. You know, there's so much bullshit you can come up with in science fiction and fantasy. So
that's why I'm thinking of Heroes, though, you know, because it just loses the meaning of it.
But that's superheroes, mate. That's superheroes. But what they do is they kill them off, and it feels finite. Most recent example in comics was Wolverine. Wolverine was gone for a really long time. And you get to a point where the fans start clamoring for their return. You know, that they want them to bring them back. And they wait and they wait and they wait. And then finally they bring them back.
That's cool if it's like a reboot. But speaking of Wolverine, if Hugh Jackman made another Wolverine movie, I'd be pissed. That there's no way they can bring him back now after the last movie.
There's a million ways.
But I wouldn't want them to. There's a difference between rebooting a franchise and just pissing all over what you've achieved in the current one. You know?
I think you got to remember one of the easiest things they could do with Tony, right? So they kill off Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. He's got an AI, isn't he? Voice in a suit, another Jarvis based off of him. Super easy. So he can still be in the films, but you still get that kind of emotional impact of losing that character. That would make sense. That would be easy. I don't think it would be as easy with Cap. Cap's the difficult one, but Thor is a god, and gods don't, you know, in the Marvel universe, they don't really die. They kind of have their energy is transferred, and it might go up to a subsequent realm, and then they can come back again. But Cap would be the difficult one, and I honestly think Chris Evans, if any of them are going to go and not come back, it will be Chris Evans.
I think that would be brilliant because you'd care about it.
Yes.
And I think to be invested in this kind of series after such a long time, you have to have some feeling that something bad is going to happen and it's going to stick. Because when it's just all easily undone, you lose any emotional connection to it. Or I do.
Yeah. No, you do. And that was always the big criticism, wasn't it, of the Marvel universe? Oh, Nick Fury's dead. No, he's not alive. Yeah. And all that kind of stuff. You know, that was the last time we had kind of a character death, and it got immediately undone, didn't it?
Yeah. What you say about Gamora was spot on. I think that was the point in the film where I was just yearning for her not to be killed, because I felt like that really mattered. If anyone's not going to come back, I mean, Marvel can live without Gamora, but by the same token, that was an awful, awful moment for her, and just seeing Thanos and his reaction to it as well, it was just heartrending. So
really yes, but it was also like telegraphed, because she did that whole, oh, you don't love anything, you're screwed, ha ha ha, oh shit.
Exactly. So it was that moment dragged out. So you knew before she knew.
It's what you get for gloating, bitch. Yeah. Dead. Saying that, they've already given themselves an out for that, because at the end of the movie, we seem to get a young Gamora inside the Soul Stone when Thanos sees her. So it's almost like she's not dead. Maybe her essence has been transferred into the Soul Stone, which the theory is that's where the half of the universe is as well. They are in the Soul Stone dimension. And somehow, you know, the next film is going to be getting everybody back out again. I really hope in the next film they commit to the chaos and the anarchy that losing half of the world's population would do. You know, that you've got this broken Avengers, that the world is tearing itself apart. You know, there's chaos in the streets. It's fucking almost post-apocalyptic. I really hope they go for that, because you got that post-credits thing, you know, when the planes are falling out of the skies and cars are crashing because people just disappear. So I really think they need to go for it.
Apocalypse, and not like what they did with The Incident, which really they didn't sell that well, I don't think.
Or you mean when the aliens invaded New York? Is that
and when they lifted up the city and like 12 people died, and it's like
look, the Avengers are really good at their jobs. Like they're good at saving lives. It's just a problem when one of the people that dies has got a hard on for getting revenge against Tony. Do you remember that? Like in Civil War, that chick shows up, don't she? He's doing, my son died. He was like doing a gap year, you twat. And it's like, oh God, only 4 people died. How did you find me? It's just like, just super unfortunate. Yeah, I'm super excited. I can't wait. For me, it's Captain Marvel, mate. I can't wait to see what that 90s set superhero shit's going to be. They got Coulson in there. He's back in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's super cool. And then it's like, how is that going to integrate and the Skrulls and all of this stuff into being a major player in Infinity War Part 2 or whatever they call it? She's quite in many ways an unknown character. She's not a huge player in the Marvel universe, that they've been trying in recent years to get a more and more part of the Avengers and the comics and stuff like that. She's a really good look. She's very strong and a great casting. Brie Larson, I think, is a great actor. So I think there's some real potential there for like passing of the torch of leadership, you know, from someone like Tony and Cap to her. She's very powerful, like, as well. She has like cosmic level powers. So yeah,
I don't know Captain Marvel, but yeah, it'd be nice to have something, freshen it up a bit.
That's what it's going to do. She's quite militaristic. She was an Air Force pilot. So she's got a quite strict kind of Top Gun vibe to her almost. She's kind of cocky, sometimes overconfident, bit like a Green Lantern. She's a bit like that, I suppose. In the Marvel universe, but she's really interesting. And I hope they bring some depth to it with Brie Larson. I think she'll have the emotional range to make you really care about that. But I'm pretty excited to see that. That's early next year, isn't it? Before Avengers. We don't even know. This is interesting. At this point, we don't even know what the third film is next year. So we got Captain Marvel, Avengers, and then something else in the like November spot, but we don't know what that is. So
when's the new Ant-Man?
That's later on this year.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. The latest trailer for that was pretty good. I dug it. I was like, oh, okay, there's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna like chill you out, you know, after the harrowingness of the Avengers, and then we'll be ramping back up into part 2 when next year comes along. So yeah, so many movies. I haven't had a chance to see Deadpool yet. This came out this week. I don't know if I'm even gonna get a chance. Oh, you're gonna see it tomorrow? I'm jealous. That's awesome. And then I've got tickets booked for Solo next week, but I'm quite looking forward to seeing that.
What do you think? I've watched a few trailers for that now, and I really want to like it, but I really don't think I will.
I've seen a couple of trailers. I've stayed away from reviews. I've got quite low expectations, like I did for Rogue One. So I'm
fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm waiting. I'm hoping to be surprised and blown away. As someone, you see, I'm a massive Star Wars nerd. A lot of knowledge of things like the expanded universe with all that got taken away in the books, and a lot of that stuff is being folded into the new films. And there's so many cool things they could do with stuff from the EU in Solo. So, because there's a lot of stuff they could use. And I'll be curious to see some of the trailer stuff hints at some of these things. I won't get into it now because it'll mean nothing to you and most of the audience. But kind of hype for that, kind of hype to see where they go with that. Definitely. You've also checked out something on Netflix that I really want to watch, but haven't got around to yet, which is The Rain. Is it good? Should I check it out?
I just finished it today.
Oh, it must be pretty good then. How many episodes?
It's only 8, and they're not particularly long, so you can probably whiz through it fairly quickly. It starts quite strong, and then it sort of peters out, ends up as a bit of a shower.
Oh, very good. Not a downpour, just a little light spit.
Yeah, it's okay. It takes a lot of cues from things that you will have seen or played before. It's got themes and ideas from The Last of Us, Walking Dead. Don't know. It just feels like it's borrowing quite a lot, and it loses where it's going towards the end. Probably 8 episodes is not enough for what it's trying to do. The premise of The Rain is there's a disease that is man-made and carried by the rain. So if you get caught in the rain, you instantly die. And it follows a family that were involved, or the father was involved in the creation of this virus. It was intended to be a positive thing, but it turned out bad. Kind of like, what's that movie? I Am Legend. Yeah,
and 100 others, and a million others,
and millions of others. Yeah. So yeah, this virus turns bad. The family have to go into hiding. There's all these bunkers that are set up by the company behind the virus. They hole up in this bunker, and it ends up being just the kids that stay there for years, not knowing where their dad has gone. The mother dies very early on in the first episode, so not too much of a spoiler there, hopefully. And yeah, it's just about how they survive, how they grow up, eventually get out of the bunker and find out what's happened to the world and meet other people along the way. So yeah, it does all of the things you would expect it to do with that kind of setup.
Okay.
And it's fine. It's fine. You'd probably enjoy it.
My kind of shit.
Yeah. It ends on obviously a bit of a cliffhanger, whether it'll get another season or not. I hope it does, but yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
I enjoyed The Punisher a lot more. I finished The Punisher this week as well.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Have you seen that already?
I've seen about half.
Strong finish. I recommend you finish that off. It becomes 10 times more brutal in the last few episodes, to the point where you can't really believe that they're doing it. Because I think when they first started doing Marvel shows on Netflix, it started with Daredevil, and everyone was like, well, this is a bit much for a Marvel show. But really, they do push it much further with The Punisher. It's really brutal. And
I got up to the episode that ended with him trying to snipe the bad guy and then the bulletproof glass.
Oh yeah.
Which I thought was a brilliant twist. I really liked. I thought it was a very strong and cool moment. And he's like, "Oh shit, okay." And he's just stood there drinking, going, "Fuck you, Frank," which I thought was cool. No, I do want to finish it off. I like I like the Punisher as a character quite a lot, especially when he gets to play in his own world that isn't involved with Marvel heroes.
That's the cool thing about it, because he's sort of in Daredevil playing with actual superheroes, but it's much more interesting when he's just in his own world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just him with knives and bullets and getting knocked senseless every 30 minutes. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I think John Bernthal really plays that character well. I think he's probably the best Punisher there's been.
Oh, I love me Thomas Jane, but yeah, he's not very good. I just like how that whole film is really kind of camp. I enjoy that the campiness of that Punisher. But I also thought Ray Stevenson's casting was much better than the film he was in Warzone. But yeah, but Bernthal he's got the look, isn't he? He doesn't do a lot sometimes in the show. He's quite understated, isn't he? But I suppose and withdrawn. But that's Punisher
later on where you see how vulnerable he is emotionally, and
okay.
you start to appreciate how good he is as that character. Then is not just all dour Gears of War face, you know.
Gears of War face. I like that. Very good. I think we should move on. Do you want to move on to some game stuff?
Oh yeah, games.
Let's do games. Kind of like it's been half an hour. Yeah. Like we should probably do a little bit of that. Let's talk about the big news from the last couple of weeks, which was this huge leak from Walmart Canada, basically leaking what they were saying was basically the lineup of games from E3. Now, when this came out, you could take a lot of it with a big grain of salt because there's some really obvious stuff, you know, annualized sequels and sequels we also knew about, and then there's some really obscure stuff in there. So I'm gonna kind of just go through it. I'm looking at a screen grab of the leak right now, and there's a lot of stuff we already knew about. So Tom Clancy's The Division 2, right? We knew that was going to be there. They've already mentioned that's going to be there. That's not a surprise. I'm very much looking forward to it. And I just point out now, this isn't our E3 prediction show, but in a way, we might not need to do one. But that's kind of going to be the next episode when Joel's back. Joel, by the way, is still not here, but he's back from his third holiday, I think, on the next episode. But then we got Splinter Cell, which has kind of been predicted because of his insertion into Wildlands. And yeah, they're saying that it's time for that to come back. I'm very much ready for a new Splinter Cell game. I don't know about you, Rich. I'm up on that.
Makes sense as well because they got what's his name? Oh, what's his name? Who did the voice?
Michael Ironside.
Thank you. Yeah, they got Ironside back for that small mission in Ghost Recon. So yeah,
it kind of
for the full game rather.
It kind of feels like he was already working on the full game, and they were like, "Can you do this thing as a marketing thing?" Really,
exactly.
It would make a lot more sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We've got. I don't know what this is, right? But it's a brilliantly generic title. I don't know if you saw this one when you looked at when I sent the links through, Rich. Insurgency Sandstorm. Insurgency Sandstorm. I mean, it literally doesn't mean anything.
No.
That is just it. Do you know what it makes me think of when I first heard that? It made me think of Spec Ops: The Line.
Yeah.
And it was just like, but it won't be as good as that. But it just made me think of that, like in the genericness of it. Like it was so hilarious. Last of Us 2, you know, expected that.
Oh, yeah, you know that.
Yeah. This one's a bit more surprising. Just Cause 4. The reason that's a bit surprising is that Avalanche, who has basically two teams, so the Mad Max team is now working on something else, which we'll talk about shortly, and then the Just Cause team. I guess we could have had another Just Cause if they just optimized, used the same engine, kind of just, you know, they could maybe shove that out the door relatively quick. It's only been a couple of years, but you know, it's not that exciting, is it? I mean, possible, yeah. What do you think?
It's possible. I think the last one came out with a truckload of glitches, didn't it? So
it wasn't that. It just played really badly on consoles. It was really poorly optimized on console. So frame rate issues were unbelievably bad when there was like a lot of explosions going on the screen. Yeah. The game itself, I actually quite enjoyed it, especially when the DLC came out and it gave you a bit more combat freedom. But no, I did like it. It just played like shit on the Xbox and PS4. WWE 2K19, shock, no, not at all.
Oh, really?
Everybody knew that was coming. I don't really know Dragon Quest 2. I don't know much about Dragon Quest.
That's not right. Sorry, bit of hay fever there.
That's right.
Yeah, it can't really be Dragon Quest 2. I read something about this that it might be referring to Dragon Quest Builders 2.
Right, I think that makes sense.
So some of these are kind of like shorthand,
write-ups placeholder,
or even typos. You know,
there's some numbers mistakes in this list, like where they put like as if there was another
Horizon 5.
That was it, wasn't it? Yeah. The new Destiny expansion will almost obviously be announced. The one that's going to come out later on in the year, that's on here. The Final Fantasy VII remake. I think that's a safe bet. We're going to see more of that. These listings doesn't necessarily mean these are games coming this year. They're just placeholder games, you know, of things that will get announced so that, you know, Walmart can take your pre-order basically.
Yeah.
So I think that's like Metroid. Yeah, I think we'll see more of that. We'll see gameplay maybe from Nintendo. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? That we got the announcement last year. Let's see some gameplay. Or at least a cinematic trailer. We just got a title card, didn't we?
I think they've said they're only really going to show games that are coming out this year, so that might rule Metroid out. I'm sure it's not that close, but yeah, it'd be kind of weird for them not to feature it at all.
Something, just a little, even if it's a 20-second trailer, you know, something would be nice. New NBA 2K. Sorry, go on.
Just going back to Nintendo. You've got to think with Metroid, it's one of the last of their big titles that come out for every generation. The other ones, we've had them. We had Zelda
already,
Mario Kart, new Mario game, all in the first year, and now we just kind of look into what's next. And I guess there's Smash Brothers, but Metroid's the big one. They can't really go E3 without mentioning it.
I wouldn't have thought so. No, we've got new NBA 2K, so Super Smash, like you just mentioned, on the Switch. I think that's definitely going to be there. It's definitely this year. This is where we get interesting. Borderlands 3. Now, this is interesting because we've been expecting it for a while, but Pitchford and Gearbox have come out and specifically said it's not going to be there. Now, are they saying that because they want to leave it for a reveal and they want some people to be surprised, you know, or is that true? It's hard to say, isn't it? But they've said specifically it won't be there. What do you think?
I
feel like it's time, isn't
it? I mean, was this list specifically about E3 features, or is it just games they think are coming out? Because
yeah, probably more the latter than the former.
That's it. So I think we all know that Borderlands 3 is on the way. It's pretty certain, isn't it, at this point? But whether they'll have it at E3 or not, whether it's ready for that, maybe not. If they've ruled it out. So yeah,
something here that's a bit of a surprise: a new AC title. Now the rumor is that, and by sorry I mean Assassin's Creed, but the rumor there is that we might be getting more Bayek. You know, the main, you know, more in Egypt, more off of the beginning of the Assassin's Creed sort of origin story and the continuation, kind of like what they did with the Ezio trilogy, rather than an entirely different setting. And
so
that,
and we're going to get some ludicrous titling like Origins 2.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't sound that unlikely, really, does it? I mean, so ACO did really well. It's got a great new engine, you know, and there's not a lot of work I would imagine that would be required on that side of it. So if you're just putting more content out, then that's entirely plausible. However, I would have liked a biannual format for AC, but hey, you know. Yeah. We'll see if that. I mean, that's not completely impossible. I think we could see that this year. Lego DC Villain sounds like another Lego DC thing. Can't say I'm that excited about that. So Beyond Good and Evil 2 is on this list.
Yeah,
I think we're gonna definitely see it, but I don't think it's this year. if ever I saw a game that made me think launch of next generation of consoles, it's Beyond Good and Evil 2. I mean, the scope of that, the ambition of that project to get that on the Xbox One and the PS4 would be a hell of a feat. I'm not sure that's gonna happen, really.
That's been on in the works on and off for years and years. But you know, they've brought some videos out this year, but it's still really just talking about the technology, isn't it? So yeah, there is not a game there ready. That's a long way off.
No. I feel like there's a lot of disparate systems that probably have to come together and meld into a cohesive experience before you have a proper game there. What else? There's not many left here on the list. I'm just flicking through my eyes. So new Forza Horizon seems inevitable. 4, not 5 though. I'd be down if the setting is as rumored Japan. I think that could be really cool. Really interesting visual setting for that. There's Gears of War on here, which makes sense. I think didn't come out. Did it come out last year or the year before?
No, it's been.
So this will be the second. Yeah, it'll be 2 years. So that makes sense. They've got an engine in place. They've got, so they're just looking at like more content, building on what they've already established with Gears 4. Plausible. But there's one I've not mentioned immediately, and that I'm going to come back to now, as it is the last one on this list. Because when this list first leaked and people saw this game, this was the game that kind of made people think the list might be bullshit. Because you saw this sequel and went, nah, they're not making that. That can't be right. And yet Rage 2 has been confirmed with an announcement trailer and an in-engine trailer. A sequel to a game nobody expected. Mega textures. That's all I'll ever remember from Rage. But I I can't believe it's happening. But it makes me think Bethesda are gonna probably go into like a alternating 3-game lineup. So you're gonna have Doom, Wolfenstein, Rage, Doom, Wolfenstein, Rage, and that works for me as a sort of a cyclical launch system. I mean, it gives you enough time for the developers to really work on the sequel, to really hone it, and it means you're looking forward to the next one, aren't you? I'd be quite bummed out if we don't get Doom 2 this year. I was really excited about the possibility of that, but Rage 2 is looking good
because we haven't seen anything of Doom yet. Yeah, Rage 2 looks pretty good actually, but then so did the first one, and people bounced off that pretty quick, didn't they? I remember that.
I beat it. I remember beating it.
I'm not sure it did that well because I remember that going for like a fiver everywhere.
Oh no, it didn't. It was terrible on consoles, but I beat it on my Xbox. I remember playing it through to completion on the 360.
Yeah. Well, that's not like you, actually, is it? You don't usually finish stuff.
Not anymore. Not anymore. Time is a problem. But no, back then I think I had the time and the inclination. But so the interesting thing with Rage 2 that I think is really cool is that Avalanche have been working with id to put it together, and Bethesda, which means Avalanche, the team who worked on Mad Max, have been working on Rage 2, which I feel like is the most perfect synergy. Yes. And I think may have happened because of the interesting shit going on with, I think it's Warner Brothers and George Miller. So there's a huge amount of legal shit going on where basically I can imagine Warner Brothers, who published the original Mad Max game, they basically probably just cancelled everything in development in all media for Mad Max due to the legal issues with George Miller. So you can imagine there's the Avalanche team there working away on Mad Max 2. They could have got quite far and they've just been canned, and they've got like all these assets, all this stuff. And then maybe Warner Brothers have said, hey, our friends at Bethesda, they're working on a Rage 2. We could combine and we could create this awesome open world, action, car-based mutants. It kind of looks a bit like, do you know what else it reminded me of? Bulletstorm. That trailer. And so you had that crazy like live action stupid announcement trailer, and then like the next day we had sort of in-engine stuff. And I thought it looked really cool. I thought it looked like a lot of fun. The kind of idea of like a colorful, anarchic, post-apocalyptic world, which is a bit more of a sense of humor, a bit more Borderlands-y, a bit less Mad Maxy. I'm up for that. I think that could be a fun game. But you said we've not seen anything about Doom. But Bethesda, in the last few years, haven't been doing that. They've been keeping very quiet on their games, announcing at E3, and then the game comes out 3 months later. So I don't necessarily mean that. I don't think it necessarily means we won't see something, because they've been very canny about how they announce at E3 and then go straight to release. Because I think one of the biggest problems is this long lead time, like what we've got with Anthem, for example, from BioWare and EA. We've known about that game so far in advance. It was always going to get delayed. You kind of gets you can't sustain interest over that length of time. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea either. To be honest, even if you do sustain interest for the long term, you end up with a situation like No Man's Sky. People are buzzing for it for years, and then it ends up not being the thing that you talked about when you first started. Because how could it be with 3 years in development? It won't be the same thing.
Comes to Xbox. Coming to Xbox in the next month or two, isn't it? No Man's Sky. Did you see that? Release date was announced.
Yeah.
couldn't care less.
They're still working on it. They're adding a lot of stuff to it. Apparently, it's got
multiplayer.
Multiplayer coming. Yeah.
It's kind of. What do you feel about this leak then?
Bums me out a bit if it's accurate, because the fun part of E3 is finding all the surprises, isn't it? So I hope there's still a few.
It's a very sort of safe list as well, isn't it? Like there's not a lot of.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If it is accurate, there aren't really a lot of surprises on here anyway. So regardless, I would have been disappointed with E3 this year if this is all there is. There's nothing there that makes me think, oh my God, like a new Alan Wake or something. I know that's not going to happen.
I'll always hope.
Yeah. You know, it just needs a big surprise. And in particular, Microsoft need to provide a big surprise, because they are getting hammered reputationally for their lack of exclusives. And it's not even funny now how long that's been a problem.
So one of the other theories about that leak was some junior on the web team was given a job by the higher ups. What do you think is going to be E3, so we can get some temporary pages made and ready? You know, something like that. So it's more. It could be theory, because if you look at it, there's a lot of stuff there that if you're fairly in the know about gaming, like us, if you asked us to put together, 14 titles that you thought were going to be at E3, there's a lot of stuff on there you might have predicted. A lot of stuff that you could have come up with, annualized sequels and stuff like that, that are quite obvious.
Like you say, though, Rage 2.
But Rage 2 is the outlier.
And that's the smoking gun, isn't it?
Maybe he was just really lucky. I don't know. Yeah, Rage 2 is kind of the one that leads a lot of validity to this leak, just by being on that list. Yeah, problematically. Yeah, it does. Yeah. I think hopefully there's more. I mean, like you said, Microsoft desperately needs some exclusives. I think we'll get more from Bethesda as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll find out very soon. Like it's in 3 weeks' time, something like that. Yeah. It's coming up. It's coming up.
There's no Halo on the list, is there? And
there is not.
To have Halo, they've got to make.
Haven't they got to? I mean, they have to, don't they? Even if it's something like Gears this fall, Halo next spring, something like that. Like, I don't think they'd want to put them against each other in the same fall time slot, but they need Halo. Unless there's a massive problem in development about Halo, I can't see why they wouldn't be ready to announce at this point. Let's move on.
It's not just the next Halo at this point, is it? They've got to sort of salvage from Halo 5.
Could well be the last Halo, couldn't it? It could be the last. Well, be the last Chief, I would have thought. Halo 6, but we'll see, won't we? So it's and slightly moving on to a little bit downer news. Boss Key, that's the studio Cliffy B put together, not really that long ago, has folded and gone under. So basically, the one game they put out was Lawbreakers, and they had the worst timing ever on releasing that game. They brought out Lawbreakers just as PUBG exploded in popularity on PC. So basically, Lawbreakers was kind of an arena shooter in this sort of classical kind of Quake mold that used sometimes like some interesting physics mechanics and mobility mechanics. But they brought that out at the moment. Battle Royale exploded, which is kind of the exact opposite type of shooter.
Character based as well, wasn't it? Like Overwatch, a
little bit Overwatchy, but yeah, less objective. Yeah. But basically, they brought that out into early access, and nobody fucking played it. Like, it got really low play count. Everybody was playing PUBG, and then they desperately tried to throw together this sort of really early release of their own kind of battle royale game. I can't remember the name of it now. I did something like High Rise or something like that. And that got
what is it called? I want to say Sunset Overdrive, and it's definitely not that, but it's something
definitely
like that.
Yeah, there was like push bikes in it and stuff.
Something Heights.
Radical Heights. Radical Heights. There you go. I never played it, but that didn't do enough for him quick enough, and he's had to fold the studio. And Cliffy very magnanimously is going to step away from games for a while, but he'll be back. I'll promise you that boy can't stay out of the limelight for too long. It was a strange statement he put out on Twitter, mostly just talking about himself and really not mentioning his developers that much.
Well, I don't know. I took that as just him, taking the blame for it. Really, he's shouldering the burden. I felt.
But how much is it? Oh, well, you care about me, don't you? Because I'm Cliffy B. He's a weird character, that guy. Obviously famous for the Gears series, well, the first 3 before he left Epic. It's always, without question, always sad to see a developer go. So I hope those guys find gainful employment elsewhere. Obviously, they know what they're doing. They're pretty skilled.
Particularly because Lawbreakers, I didn't play the game. No one did. But by accounts of the people who gave it a go, it was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, shame.
I think some people have said maybe his mistake was he went on console with it, but he only went on PS4.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons I never got hands on with it, because I didn't have a PC at the time, and now that I do, I never had a chance because it got canned. But sad to say, sad to see, and hopefully he'll be back with something. He just
if only you'd had a PC at the time, it would.
I would have saved that. I would have got the word out, mate. That is exactly what would have happened. 100%. It's just when you're doing that, when you're taking that gamble as a developer on maybe trying to refocus and bring out a game that's maybe in a niche that hasn't been popular in a while. It wasn't so much like Overwatch, to be honest, Rich. It was much more like a Quake game, so an old school competitive shooter. And he, trying to bring that back to life, it's all about timing, and there's a lot of luck involved. And he just had really bad luck. They just had super bad luck with that. If they hadn't come up against PUBG, they probably would have been all right. They would have had a lot more people playing it. But everybody playing a shooter was playing PUBG there. That was before Fortnite had come out, so it was like just the worst timing in that 2-month period. You just unlucky, mate. So better luck next time, and I'm sure there will be one. Oh, is that you put a news story on here that I didn't? I got flummoxed then because I just saw that. I went, I don't know what that is.
I don't remember doing that.
No. We'll get to that shortly. Let's first of all talk about this pretty cool piece of kit, which is the Xbox Adaptive Controller.
Brilliant.
Now, so fucking cool, man. See this. Yeah, so cool. Well, do you want to talk about it then? I could do with a break. So you tell everybody what this is.
Xbox Adaptive Controller is interface that works with Windows 10 PCs and Xbox platforms to enable people with disabilities to play video games that they wouldn't otherwise be able to play. So there are sort of various controls available for disabilities now, but they don't always work that well, and you often have to reset them, and every time you change a game or something, or if you change the setup, it takes quite a lot of work. So what Xbox have done is built this adaptive controller interface that you can plug all of these extra devices into and set up your play space with minimal fuss, and it will just work. It's plug in, unplug, and swap it around and do what you like, and it will just carry on working. And it's just so good to see a major platform holder giving that sort of thought to a big portion of the population that just want to get involved in gaming but can't and haven't been able to. It's always a worry, isn't it? Because gaming is a big part of my life, yours as well. And I always think, what would happen if I couldn't do this hobby anymore? If I lost a thumb or something like that, I would be devastated. And it's I don't think I'm going to lose a thumb anytime soon, but it's reassuring to know that there are companies looking out for people with these issues and allowing them to get involved. I was really, really touched to see such a well thought out product.
Its modular nature is incredible. Like the whole, so there's like a 3.5 mil jack associated with every single button on the Xbox One controller, basically. And you can plug in all these different types of attachments and different forms of control, from breath control ones, you know,
or like pedals or
levers, huge buttons, all kinds of stuff. You can plug in basically any USB joystick as well to take control of the left analog stick thing. So there's loads of flexibility. I mean, the prices are quite high because it's quite a specialist kit. But I think what it is that a lot of the time these disabled gamers will be able to get involved with various forms of charities and local government support and stuff to help subsidize the cost. But yeah, it's super encouraging to see that Xbox are being just really sort of forward thinking in this. I'm playing devil's advocate, right? Play devil's advocate. Richard, how much do you think this might be to do with that they're in second place and they're playing catch up? And they it's a very good positive image for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Would they do this if they were at
the brand?
Would they do this if they were in Sony's position, you know, who aren't doing it? You know, that's what I'm asking.
Who knows?
I think there's a difference, though. There is a difference that in the West, American European culture has a different outlook on disability than Eastern Japanese culture. And I do think in general, we're a bit more inclusive, understanding and progressive with those mentalities at a corporate level specifically.
So?
Yeah, historically it's true, but you know, obviously that, you know, things go back and forth now, but I think it can only be considered positive. I can't wait to see the stories that come off of this, you know, from gamers that are disabled and how it helps and changes their gaming environment, you know. So that's I can't wait to see that. So it's so positive, you know.
I don't want to be too cynical about it. I don't think it can entirely be down to them being in second place.
No,
there are other things that they could do to bolster their reputation.
I think it's got a lot. They're Microsoft, aren't they?
It's not going to net them a lot of money, is it? This
no.
It's not a profit maker.
No,
they didn't have to do it. So even if that is part of the reason, there is a nobility to it still, I think.
No, it's cool, man. It's cool. It's a big plus in my book, put it that way. Okay, COD BLOPS 4.
Yeah. This is
Call of Duty Black Ops 4, baby. Announced. Big time. They had a stream. I didn't watch the stream, but I watched the major videos that were released from it. So the multiplayer reveal certainly looked like Call of Duty. Yeah, I mean, boots on the ground in big effect here. No jetpacks or dash moves. You know, very traditional modern combat, unlike World War II combat or future combat. Looked pretty cool. Looked like there's lots of different classes now. There looks like there is a health bar that isn't regenerative. There are healer classes specifically and ways of healing in the map. So I think, you know, that's a little bit of like a Battlefield vibe to it, actually. Which I thought was kind of the whole, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because Call of Duty, I think, did they create regenerative health? I think they did, didn't they? That was Call of Duty.
Halo 2 had it.
Yeah, Call of Duty was before Halo 2, though, wasn't it?
I'm trying to think. No, Halo 2 came out on the original Xbox. That preceded Call of Duty.
No, you're right. But it's weird that we're going back the other way, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I didn't have a huge amount to take away from that multiplayer side of it, the traditional multiplayer. The other modes were, so we have a new zombies mode, which seems to be this kind of strange hopping across through time. There's levels on the Titanic. The other bit was in like some kind of weird Colosseum against zombies and stuff. Like, but they seem to be the same characters, but they seem to somehow be in different time periods. So that'll be an interesting sort of story element that they're bringing to that. They're definitely leaning quite hard on trying to tell narrative in the other modes because there's no campaign, which I think is mad. But the big reveal, and as a massive fan of the battle royales, is Blackout.
That's the only thing that I bothered looking at, to be honest. That does excite me. I
So
don't
it
care
was
about Black Ops because the second one was terrible, the third one was terrible. Not really that fussed about no campaign because the campaigns have been terrible.
there's been some good. What do you mean just in Black Ops particularly?
Yes, Black Ops specifically.
Yeah, I still I'm so upset Infinite Warfare got the shitting it got, because that is a
really
brilliant game.
Yeah.
Brilliant game, mate.
I went through that. I think I did two playthroughs through that. Really enjoyed it.
I much preferred it to WW2. Put it that way, much better than WW2's campaign.
Yeah, excellent.
But anyway, that we digress. So Blackout, all we've got so far. Obviously, there'll be more at E3, but all we got so far is like a concept trailer for their take on Battle Royale. We don't know player count at the moment. There seems to be vehicles included, which is cool. And it seems to be like they're bolting together sections of popular previous maps with like a connected overworld, to create the Battle Royale map. Who knows what that's going to play like? I mean, because Call of Duty is I don't think it necessarily doesn't work. I think because it's quite Twitch. You know, you don't have a huge amount of health, so that's quite PUBG-esque. So as long as you've got like armor pickups and there's lots of interesting loot to find out there, I wonder how they're going to do loot. Is it going to be, visual recognition a la PUBG? Is it going to be color coded a la Fortnite? There's a few ways they go. I personally prefer the realism based Battle Royale games, bullet drop and wind effects and all that stuff that we get from PUBG rather than the Fortnite kind of arcadey stuff. But I imagine it'll be somewhere in the middle. Personally.
I'm hoping they make it a bit more realistic. That's the thing that excites me with this is a Battle Royale game done with a big budget, and it just looks pristine and just technically really good, like all Call of Duty games do. That will be the edge for it, I think, if it can pull that off.
It will live or die on their netcode for this, and the player count. I suspect it will be under 100, but I think that'll be a real problem for them if it is.
They'll focus on technical performance, visual performance, and it will probably have less players than you might be used to elsewhere. But it will look fantastic, hopefully.
I'm curious. I am curious. This is the first one. This is the first big shooter game, AAA game, to pivot to Battle Royale. We've been anticipating it. We knew it was coming. This is the first one that's been announced. So I'm curious to see how it works. The question is Battlefield going to try and match them at E3? I kind of feel like they have to.
I feel like they've got a stronger pedigree for moving into that.
Well, they've got a much more impressive netcode, haven't they? With the 32 on 32 sort of the maps. They know they can handle that. So scaling it up to
more than
100.
That, the gameplay, the mechanics of Battlefield are far better suited to a Battle Royale game. You don't have that Twitch shooting problem, which would that would kill a Battle Royale game.
But you say that, but I find Battle Royale, especially PUBG, is a mixture of the two. So in PUBG, you need to have great long game, great medium game, but you also need to be ready to be damn good Twitch when you're in a building. That's why I find PUBG is like my ultimate shooter, because it combines all those elements to make a realistic, compelling experience. And I think so. Yeah, I do think you need to be good in Twitch. When you got to pull out your SMG and your shotgun, and when you're clearing a house. But then you need to be great and long and medium as well, which is what kind of Battlefield is really, really good at.
Yeah. So, there's different aspects to Twitch shooting, though, and I think there's discrete elements of Twitch shooting that you need and others that you don't. So the in the moment firefight, it can be twitchy in a like PUBG or something, obviously, but you pretty much always know it's coming. That isn't the case in Call of Duty. You just bombing around corners and you'll run into somebody and be dead. That doesn't happen so much in PUBG.
True. It does not always. It doesn't. It does happen, but it's not like the core gameplay, which is what Call of Duty is, isn't it? That kind of just that lightning reaction. You have to be 14 to be good at it, otherwise you're aged out. But no, I'm excited to see, man. I mean, this Battle Royale is the current hotness. So let's see how it plays in AAA space. Exciting stuff.
It's good, isn't it, for a trend to be about gameplay rather than just monetization or
yeah,
DRM or something.
Yeah, no,
it's been a long time since a trend hasn't just been about how to market something,
or like a quest for visual realism, or 3D, or just this is the while those were important elements to gameplay, this does feel very much just like, oh, people just really like this type of game, which is it's exciting. It's exciting stuff. I guess the last one would have been like open worlds, probably.
Yeah,
everybody made open world games for quite a while. They're still doing it, but
even then though, open world is quite a broad.
Yeah, this is very specific, isn't it? Yeah. Tell us about Nintendo Switch, which I completely forgot happened. Yes.
No, this is my news story that you may not have read. So Nintendo have released more details of their online service, which is coming in September. Pricing is now confirmed.
Confirmed.
In the UK, it will be $17.99 per year.
Nothing.
Not much, is it?
Nope. Not even 20 quid.
No. That is just for a single user. You can get a family account as well, which is 30 quid, something like that.
Right.
Decent. Not really sure what you get for your money, other than the big selling point is online cloud storage for your saves.
Fuck off.
What do you mean, fuck off?
Fuck off, we shouldn't be paying for that. Fuck off, it should have been there from day one. It's fucking ridiculous.
I know. Well, it's not anything other people haven't done. PlayStation do the same thing.
What, you mean make you pay for it? Xbox is the only one that doesn't make you pay for it, I believe, yes.
Yeah, that's right. So you have to have PlayStation Plus to get cloud saving on PlayStation.
Which is shit as well. That's just
it is shit,
ridiculous.
But, if you don't want to pay for it, you can save other ways. You could put your saves on a USB stick or something.
You can't do that with Switch.
You can't do that on Switch. So it's basically a protection racket, this.
Little bit. How can you not plug it? I mean, looking at my dock right now, it's got a fucking USB port in it. How can you not plug a USB stick into it and back up your saves? It's bad, ridiculous.
Yeah, so I'm going to pony up the cash for this because I'd need to protect my Zelda save. But it does leave a bit of a sour taste. Other than that, you get 20 NES games or access to 20 NES games.
Great.
And they've listed 10 of them. I didn't bother to look what they were.
No, they're not. I did. They weren't that exciting.
Right.
I mean, it's NES games. I mean, fucking hell. Could have at least ponied up some SNES. Jesus Christ. NES.
Yeah. Maybe that will come. But there's online gaming, so the online service will be there as you'd expect, and there will be discounts on eShop games as well. I don't know what level of discount there will be, but for $17.99, I suppose it's not a big ask for people like you and me. We'll end up paying for that, won't we?
Oh yeah, inevitably, but it won't be to play Splatoon online. I can tell you that much, because I still can't believe they're still forcing you to use the mobile phone for communication.
It's terrible.
I thought they would have just admitted with this information. Oh no, okay, here you go. Here's a better solution. And it's just that's just nuts. I can't believe it. Just use Discord at this point or something else. Why would you even?
Or just have a better system, because I think you can do that through the Xbox app now. And from what I've heard, I haven't tried it, but from what I've heard, it's a lot better than the Nintendo solution.
Right. Okay.
And for them, it's just to kind of try that if you want. It's not like the main thing that you need that to play on Xbox, but it's still better than Nintendo's offering that they will be charging for. So yeah, mad.
Talking about while we're on Switch, then we'll get into some game reviews, and I'll talk about probably the best game. I'm looking at my list here. Yeah, probably the best game I played since our last podcast, actually, which was Garage on Nintendo Switch. Garage. I seem to be. It was interesting because I got my review up for embargo, so I didn't see everybody else's until after the fact, and I think I liked this game quite a bit more than a lot of other people did. I really enjoyed it. This is by a little developer called Zombie Dynamics, but published by who else? Tiny Build. It's a top-down. Think Hotline Miami. So top-down action. No, it's not RPG. It's just top-down sort of action game with a extreme level of gore. and it's sort of a horror game, so it's super atmospheric. It's not a huge game, but it's, you know, a price point that reflects that. I just really enjoyed it. I really liked the fact that it's this, like, they actually refer to splatterpunk on their website, and then I started looking up splatterpunk. I was like, oh, I know what splatterpunk is and stuff. It's a type of filmmaking from the 80s and 90s, which was horror filmmaking that was so gory that it almost bordered on the kind of like vomit inducing. That it was just so vile and over the top and just nasty video nasty type stuff. And it's like, this game is sat next to Mario on my Switch. I love that. I love everything about that. It makes me so happy that you can have these diverse experiences now on a Nintendo fucking console. And currently this is a Nintendo Switch exclusive. It is coming to PC, but right now it's only on the Switch, which is just amazing. I love that so much. It's like, I said in my review, no other publisher would do this. Only Tiny Build would do this. Yeah, I liked it. The game is quite hard, so there's obviously, you don't take a lot of damage, you die quite easily. You know, you're picking up different weapons, you're fighting lots of zombie type creatures and mutations. Basically you're an ex-drug dealer, and like I said, you're an ex-drug dealer because you don't have anybody to sell drugs to, not because you decided to be a good guy. You're still a real shit. Yeah, called Butch, and you're just going through. Subsequently, you're going down and down and down and down further into this place called the Garage, which is this mall, but underneath is like an evil government lab filled of horrible experiments, and it's just really pulpy. And it's got I really like the combat in the game. I really liked how it felt. I love the extreme violence and the gore. You know, when you blow a zombie's brain off, how it splatters up the wall behind him, and it's all in a really nice sort of neon drenched pixel art kind of look to it. And it just, yeah, it was fun. It's got a good soundtrack. It first of all, I thought, oh, it's just gonna be like Hotline Miami, but it quickly sets its own tone and it goes much more horror and suspense. It's got this mechanic where doors are always closed and you kick them open. So you're like, they might be locked or something, and you kick them open, you burst in, and then there'll be zombies in there or monsters, and you have to fight them. So there's the feeling of, you know, what's behind that door. So it's quite nice. There's like a distinct visual cone as well, line of sight sort of element to it as well. So no, I really liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought it was a cool, different experience on the Switch. Yeah, really good. I definitely recommend picking up if you're looking to play something different, you know, between your Zeldas and your Marios and your whatever else is. Yeah.
Yeah. I like top-down stuff like that. The last good one like that was Mr. Shifty, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it does feel a bit like Mr. Shifty, actually, in the control style. There's one thing that sucks about the combat, right? So when you break open boxes to find health pickups and things like that, and sometimes there'll be rats in them, and the rats are quite annoying. You have to kind of like try and kick them and stomp on them, and they always take 2 hits to kill, and it's like they're a bit difficult to hit. But once you get used to them, it's not a big problem. Yeah, I really dug it. Really good fun. I bet I should probably just keep going because you don't actually have any reviews to talk about. Though I am curious to hear about one of the games you played and see what you thought of it, but we'll get to that in a bit. I'll quickly talk about Descenders.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Joel has already spoken about Descenders, but it's now come out in game preview on Xbox. And Joel, when he spoke about it, obviously spoke about it from a point of view of a long-time mountain biker. You know, he knows this shit. He does it. I don't. Yeah. It's been like the best part of 20 years since I was on a bike. So I really have very little experience of biking or mountain biking. But I can tell you, Descenders has got a great sense of speed. It plays really nice on the Xbox. It loads nice and quick. I like the fact that the environments are procedurally generated. It gives you a lot of variety as you have to replay sections multiple times. Handles well. It's got a bit of a Trials vibe to it, so it's kind of like, to start with, you're crashing a lot, you know, but you can feel yourself getting better. The more you play it, you can definitely see your skills improving and your control of the bike improving, which is satisfying. It's got a really cool soundtrack, actually, Richard, which I think you'd really like. It's a bit of house and electronica and dance type of inspired music, but it's quite ambient. It just plays in the background to like give you something to be biking to. But it's really good. It's really nice. It's really good soundtrack. Obviously, probably not something you'd focus on in a game like this, but I think they've put some thought into that. There's unlockable equipment and gear and stuff, but none of it has an effect on gameplay. And yeah, it's just got this sort of like permadeath, almost roguelike structure to it. So you get to go through a level. It has different nodes that you can pick. And as you're going through, you're trying to beat the level, but also get these bonus objectives. But you only have so many lives, so many times you can crash, and then you have to start right back at the beginning. So that's why the procedurally generated levels are so important, because you're going through the same environment again and again, but each track is different, so you don't get bored. I found it was like a palate cleanser game for me, a chill out game after a long day at work. I'd be like, oh, I'll just play some Descender and just bomb a few levels, get a bit better, upgrade some not upgrade, but like unlock some stuff. It was really good fun.
Just cosmetic stuff.
Yeah, from what I can tell, it's interesting as is in game preview. Playing it, I can't work out what they're going to change or improve or what's missing. So I'm quite curious to see where they take it. And again, it's at a fairly, it's at a reasonable price point and stuff. So it's not asking a huge amount buy-in. It's cool little game. Anything you want to know about Descender so I can breathe for a moment?
What is your favorite color bike?
I liked my yellow bike.
Okay.
I had a yellow bike. It was quite fast.
I'm not an expert on fast descending bikes, so that is probably the extent of my questioning. Sorry. Has it got a bell on it?
No. But you don't have a lot of pedestrians to dodge. Mostly it's trees and rocks, which I smash into quite spectacularly on a pretty regular basis. Yeah. It's always great. I love doing this thing. You go down a jump and you bunny hop off the jump, you time it, and you go too high. So when you land, you just wipe out because it's like, dude, you can't land that. You're dead now. Which was pretty funny. I'm gonna take a break. Can you, Richard? I'm curious. Tell me about what you thought about the Fall Part 2.
Tell you what, I've gone through that game twice in the past few days.
Blimey.
I got really hooked. I got hooked on getting all the achievements, so I've 100%ed it now.
Holy shit, man! Wow,
I really liked it. You know how much I loved the Fall Part 1.
I'm glad I'm not alone. Yeah, I really enjoyed Part 2 as well. Yeah, we talked about it when I reviewed it. Yeah.
Yeah, you when you talked about it first time round, when you did the review, you had a bit of a downer on all the combat, but I didn't think it was that bad actually. It worked pretty well.
It's fine, but you could take it all out.
First.
Yeah, but you could take it all out and not be missing anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I suppose you kind of could. But funnily enough, there is an option in there to have less combat. And I've gone through in both versions of the game, with combat and without, and there isn't a big difference, to be honest. Still feels pretty much the same. I'm not sure what.
I think what it is, I remember doing this as well. I think what it was it's easy. It makes it a lot easier, the combat. So you kill enemies with like one shot rather than two, that kind of thing. So you take all the blobs down quicker.
It certainly felt that, like from the beginning, it felt that way. But as you get further in, and I got easily halfway in on the easier playthrough, and it doesn't get much different.
Okay.
Certainly the hand-to-hand combat sections.
Oh no, that's the same. I like the hand-to-hand stuff. That was cool. Yeah, the one thing, the death punch stuff, is really good, but it's the shooting that sucks. I fucking hated the shooting so much.
Yeah. For anyone who's not played it, if you haven't played the Fall Part 1, go and get it now. It's amazing.
Yes.
Fall Part 2 builds on the puzzles of that game and improves on the combat quite a bit, but it improves on it by making it a bit more like Metroid, which it cannot hope to imitate. So it's got the shooty door stuff. It's got the big barrel roll jumps that you can do, and locking onto enemies and all that stuff that you'd expect from a decent Metroid game, but a lot more janky. It's fine, it works, but like you say, you could probably do without not being in it. But yeah, I really enjoyed the themes of the puzzles carry across well from the first game. There's some quite macabre puzzles. The overriding themes of the narrative are really interesting in this as well, because it talks from the perspective of an AI, as the original game does, but always relates it to modes of thinking in the human mind and how we all need rules to live within to protect ourselves, and we're fearful of anything that breaches those rules. And it gives us sort of warped perspective on what the right thing to do is in any given situation. And that's our problem as humanity. We can't really get the perspectives that we need. And it works that problem out quite cleverly by having 3 different avatars aside from the main one. So you've got 4 characters to choose from, but all inhabited by multiple AIs with conflicting personalities and perspectives.
It gets fucking mental by the end.
Yeah, and it's really clever, isn't it? Really clever. It makes you think about where you get your thought processes from and whether you're confined in a similar way in your thinking. Good.
Oh, hello. You're joined by a 3rd member.
My wife just arrived, for anyone listening.
Me and Richard were kissing, actually, just so you know. The wife arrived. It was very awkward, actually, when she walked in to find us making out like that. You know, I was like, whoa, awkward. Okay, not great. Have some words later. No, yeah, I thought it was a really cool. I really want to see what they do with the 3rd game, like where they take it. I hope they get it. I hope they make it. I hope it does well enough. I was tell you what,
to see them leave it open for a second, because it's been absolutely ages since.
Yeah, I thought that was quite a brave move, considering the obviously development difficulties they've had and stuff. So hopefully that means it's a bit more certain. Fingers crossed. Let me tell you, Richard, why review embargoes can be really stupid.
Go on.
So I was reviewing Hyper Sentinel, right?
Yes.
Now this is a left to right shmup, right? Shoot 'em up. It's quite simple in its presentation. It's pixel arty, but it plays quite nice. It's fast. You know, it's not. There's nothing that special about that. The special element is the mixer integration, which I wasn't able to do because I was under embargo.
Oh, jeez.
So the main thing to set Hyper Sentinel apart from all the other shmups is that when you play it in mixer mode, people watching your stream can work with you or against you. Yeah, they can give you power-ups, or they can throw enemies at you and stuff like that to change the flow of the game. I couldn't do any of that. It's a cool idea, isn't it? Really cool. Couldn't test it. Wasn't allowed.
Shame.
So, you know, I wanted to get my review out for embargo, because as did most people, I'd imagine. So I mentioned it in the review, and it's just like, this sounds cool. Don't know if it is. I mean, like, so yeah, I mean, beyond that, the game is fine. I quite like the music and the presentation. It's pretty simplistic. It's got this, the controls are interesting because you're always flying ahead, like going, right? So you're just changing like your position on tracks on the screen and then flipping around. Basically, you're always going either left or right on different positions on the screen. Almost, it's a bit different. It doesn't give you free control of the ship, which takes a little bit of getting used to. But you control fire modes and you get upgrades and stuff, and there's boss fights. And it's fine. It's cool. It's enjoyable. But shame I couldn't try the thing that stood it apart from all the rest.
How big a deal is it? I think iDarb did something similar to that, didn't it, with hashtags?
Yeah, I think they did some kind of social integration, didn't they? Yeah, that was hard to convey in a review situation or a critical reception situation.
I'm not sure how important it was to the game. It's just a cool.
But this is what their trailers have been about. This is their USP. You know, this is the thing that they're shouting about as what makes it special. I couldn't fucking test it, which I think is just hilarious. There you go. So dumb when sometimes you look at embargoes like Richard's playing a game right now that we're not allowed to talk about because it's under embargo, even though it's been out on other platforms for a best part of 2 years. It's kind of just like, what's the point? What's the point? Is the game changed that much? I mean, but we're a small outlet, so we need to honor these things. We don't want to get in shit. We don't want to get blacklisted. So it's like we follow the rules, but it's pretty mental, isn't it? when it hurts, because like we're probably going to say positive things about your product right now, but we're not allowed to because you've given us an arbitrary date. So cool. Cool. Brilliant. Another little game I played. I think this is the last game on my list is Death Road to Canada, which got some press recently because it got delayed when the horrible shit went down in Canada. It was meant to come out that week when there was a shooting, wasn't there? In Canada, wasn't there? It was a few weeks ago. It's easy to lose track of atrocities in North America. There's often, we just had another one, didn't we? Didn't Texas just have one?
It makes me sound callous. I really don't know if I heard the story.
Basically, there was a horrible thing that went down in Canada, and it was the week Death Road to Canada was meant to come out, and for obvious reasons, they decided to put that release off with a game titled Death Road to Canada. But it's actually quite funny.
I kind of don't like it when they do that, as if this game has got anything to do with that. By delaying it, it makes it sound like it's associated in some ways. Not.
All I can tell you about the developers of Death Road to Canada is they're a developer called Rocket Cat. And interestingly, it's 3 people that have never met. They've never met in person. I was looking them up. I always look up the little developers when I get little games because I always find it interesting, their stories and their backgrounds. And so it's 3 people that have never met in person and yet make quite a lot of good games together. But they do it all remotely. I think that's fascinating, thing that is enabled by technology in 2018. I think that's incredible. So Death Road to Canada,
you hear about that with big studios, but for a little indie outfit, that's interesting, isn't it?
Kind of like us here at Bxb, isn't it? We've never met in person, Richard, and we've been doing this for years.
Yeah,
but it's crazy. It's crazy. So Death Road to Canada is this. It's a mixture of games. It's some impressive selection of systems on display here. So you've got like a text adventure, you've got a management game, and you've got a sort of pixelated action game all coming together in this zombie apocalypse survival thing. Basically, the premise is you're a bunch of people desperate to get from Florida to Canada on the road due to the zombie apocalypse. For some reason, you think Canada might be safer. And also, as I mentioned in my review,
I don't think that setup needs the zombies necessarily.
No, I mentioned this in my review. Most people just want to leave Florida. So that's understandable. I think that might be the joke as well of the game. I think they're very aware of that. And along the road trip, so there's a road trip element to it. So you start off with 2 people, or you can be customized. You can just start off with 1, but you find more survivors as you go. And there are often these colorful, weird characters. Some of them are randomly generated. Some of them are like very much specifically weird characters. I had one guy dressed up as like a Godzilla in my party, and it just went around roaring at people, which was weird. But yeah, there's a lot of funny dialogue. It's all text based, so that's kind of where the text adventure element comes in. And then you have like multiple choice, things to choose from, like you would in a text adventure. And then the management game comes from, you need to find supplies, food, water, medical supplies, fuel for your vehicle, and repair it when necessary to help get you on the journey. And then there's also the scavenging sort of stuff where you'll get to like a Kmart or whatever, and they'll be like, do you want to raid it for supplies? And you get out of the car, and then you're in this sort of action game, pixel action game, where you've got your guns and your knives and stuff, and loads of different levels of zombie density, and you're trying to get around like Walking Dead. You're trying to get around the supermarket and find all the supplies you can while the zombies are closing in and more are coming, and get back to your car. While protecting as many of the survivors as you can and stuff like that. So yeah, it encourages replayability. There is a permadeath element to it, where if you die, that character is gone. And then you obviously can find other characters, or you restart again, and you can level up your abilities from getting these various skill points. So like I said, there's lots of systems in display here. It's 3 people made this game. It's quite impressive.
It looks well good.
It is. Well, it's really quirky. Funny. It is. It's really, really funny. It's really silly. It does a good job of having a sense of humor about such a serious and dour subject, because the characters that they put into it are often really bizarre and weird. I had this masked luchador type guy join my team at one point, and there was this silly kind of character, and the interactions between the characters are very funny in the text. Lots and lots of good writing. And it's big. It feels like an expansive game, and it had a bit of like Oregon Trail to it. Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of when you're looking at the text and stuff, and your car's just trundling along the road, doing its own thing, and you're watching your fuel go down, your supplies go down. It's very much like a modern day Oregon Trail in that respect. Yeah, cool game, cool weird game that most people are probably going to completely miss. But yeah, I liked it. Anything you wanted to ask?
I'm just looking at screenshots. There's a really funny screenshot here of like the multiple choice situations. There's a picture of a Sasquatch. There's Ambrose. Ambrose sees a Sasquatch on the side of the road minding its own business. What do? Bigfoot ain't real, or Jeremy tries to wrestle it.
Yep. That sums it up quite well, actually. The sense of humor and the attitude of Death Road to Canada. Yeah, that's accurate. Shall we say? I definitely recommend checking it out if you're looking for a slightly different change of pace. One of the things I will criticize is, man, I am getting tired of that art style. Like, it works, and I understand why small studios do it. I really do, because it's easier to do. It's less intensive.
It looks cool. It's low cost.
Yeah. But I just find something else that's not pixel art, please. But yeah,
I don't mind if it's done well. If it's done well,
yeah, Death Road does it well enough. Yeah, absolutely. They do. They play around with light and dark quite well in this game. The shading is quite important, and sometimes you'll have to try and get through cities in the sewers and stuff like that, and then it's like completely pitch black. But you can carry a torch, but it takes up one of your inventory spots. You know, so you can't carry a melee weapon and a ranged weapon or something like that. So there's a lot of risk reward and different ways of experimenting with the game and playing and going through gameplays and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a cool loop. It's a fun loop. Lots of variety.
Kind of want it now.
It's cool. I'm glad. Is it? Oh, is it? Ooh, pick it up. Oh, is it in part of the Game Fest sale that's happening right now on Xbox?
I don't know. I think it's just because it's only out this week, isn't it? So they tend to put stuff on with a couple of quid off in the first week. These indie games.
They do now. Yeah, that seems to be a sort of a new trend I've noticed, which is quite good. It's a smart move to do. But yeah, I'm going to do a bit of show and tell now. Look what I got, Rich.
The Duke.
I got me a Duke, baby.
Oh, mate, I didn't want one until this very moment.
I got me a Duke.
Is it good?
It's the Duke. I mean, it's crazy how much it is the Duke. The only physical difference is the lack of the memory card slots, which I can't say I'm missing really. And then the addition of these little shoulder buttons, which plays really well in radio. Obviously, I'm showing people the shoulder buttons. There is an unboxing up on the YouTube channel, and it will be on the website fully if you do want to check it out. Let me show you though, if I can.
I can't tell you how jealous I am.
Let me show you. I'm going to show it to you now. I'm going to show the boot up screen because it's brilliant. It's the coolest little thing. It's just so silly. If I can plug in this USB port. Don't break it. I just bought it. There you go. Here we go. It's plugged in.
Oh,
there it is. There it is, booting up with the original Xbox boot up screen.
Oh, that's so cool. Right.
And then and every time it's a button. So every time you press it, it does the animation.
Is that all it does?
As at the moment, though Seamus Blackley, the guy behind this craziness, has said that there may well be future uses for it.
Right.
But yeah, I couldn't not. It's stupid. The price of this thing for what it is nuts. But 70 quid.
Oh God.
But I honestly couldn't not get it. I really couldn't. I love that console. I miss this controller so much. And it feels great, mate. It feels so good. I always really like the ergonomics of the Duke. The fact that the layout of the face buttons are in the diamond shape, so they all sit under your thumb. You know, the amazing triggers. The triggers are still great. And the crazy thing is that while this is a third-party accessory, it feels like a first-party accessory.
I was going to say, yeah,
build quality.
It's Hyperkin.
Yeah, Hyperkin don't always have the best rep, but the build quality, you know, so far from me just holding it, I haven't actually played a game with it yet. I only got it today. But so far, the build quality feels really, really good, really solid. Just like the original
party, because it's properly endorsed, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. So it's weird. Yeah, I mean, Seamus did a deal basically, and he got the permission from Phil and stuff, Phil Spencer. And you know, they used all the original design docs and stuff, and they were able to do this deal with Hyperkin, and it's kind of unprecedented. It's more like second party, I suppose. Yeah. When I think about it, rather than third.
Do you think you could use it? What would you play with it?
What am I gonna? What am I gonna? I'll definitely play my backwards compatible Xbox original games with it. I can tell you that
mate,
much. Definitely gonna do that.
Panzer Dragoon Auto, brilliant.
My KOTORs and I got the Star Wars games. I got Mercenaries. Yes, so yeah, lots of things. Yeah, I think I'm gonna use it. I really like how it feels. It also works obviously as a PC controller, so you can use it on your computer as well.
I just love that screen. Yeah. That's so cool.
It's fucking silly, isn't it? So dumb.
The sticks and that, is it?
Yeah, it feels good.
Original? Has it aged? Or is it more modern components that feel?
No, I don't know. How do I describe it? I mean, it's got exactly the same types of analog sticks. So the slightly smaller concave part of the right stick compared to the larger concave dimple on the left stick. They feel, from what I can remember, exactly the same. The D-pad's identical, so it's that weird ass bumpy, strange. I don't know how you'd even describe the D-pad, but it is exactly how it was on the original. Yeah, you got the black and white buttons. Not that you're ever going to use them because it's the shoulder buttons, isn't it? So it's just like, why would you ever use those buttons? The worst buttons ever. But the rest of it is the fact that it's a giant color screen in the middle of the control. That's where your 70 quid's going. Like it must be. It's the most crazily redundant thing.
I love how stupid and indulgent.
It's so dumb. It's so wonderfully dumb.
Oh, mate.
Yeah, I couldn't resist.
Sarah's been asking me, what do I want for an anniversary present?
Bingo.
No, I know.
Well, I hope they restock it for you because it's sold out everywhere at the minute. So,
Game appear to have them.
Well, get in before they close down forever. So. But yeah, I knew you'd appreciate that. As an old school Xbox gamer like me, I knew you'd understand why.
I'm embarrassed at how impressed I am with that.
You did get quite excited, right? Yeah. But yeah, no, and the other thing I want to do, I've got a show and tell. I've done 2 unboxings today. Yeah. I got a gift subscription for Loot Crate.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how that does that play. I don't even know how that plays. I got the Loot Crate subscription. I've never had a Loot Crate subscription before. I've always thought it was a bit like, why would you? If you wanted to buy weird tat, wouldn't you just buy the tat you wanted?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? But it's okay. So I got a Dark Souls T-shirt, which I had to look at for a while because I was like, I don't even know what this is. So I got a Dark Souls T-shirt from Dark Souls 3.
That is Dark Souls 3. Yes.
That is Dark Souls 3.
In the correct size, or is it useless?
Yeah, no, you specify the size you want when you subscribe.
I
got a Monster Hunter World, which is great. Game I didn't like that much, but it's fine. I got like a weird little sword. I don't know. This is really good radio, guys. I'm sure you're loving this. My jaw blade replica.
Showed me a sword, a plastic sword.
A plastic sword. This is fantastic. This is handy. I got a Hope County Far Cry 5 pencil case for all my pencils, which I don't own.
That's the least pencil casey game world I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, hold on, just while you're trying to murder me, can you just let me sketch you first? like the pretty girls, I got an Arkham City. That's right, Arkham City prequel comic.
Sat on a shelf for a while.
I think they went, we need to put something else in this box. Yeah. Got that one. And then I got like a random Far Cry 5 poster, which looks like it was something you'd get for free in a strategy guide, and a Loot Gaming pin of what I can only describe is a bear trap.
Okay.
I mean, it's a weird thing to have. Why would you want a bear trap on you? That's very peculiar. So look, I mean,
how much did this cost, Ben?
It cost me nothing, thankfully. So I got 3 months for free from Loot Crate themselves,
right?
And so I want to make that very clear. This was promotional, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an unboxing for all 3, and at the end of that, we will decide together if this is a worthwhile investment. Because
do you know how much it's supposed to cost?
It's like 20s. I mean, we can look. Do you want to look? I can't look it up because I've got it. You look it up. You look it up because my account is in, so I will tell you. I don't think. I will tell you this: Loot Crate constantly have sales on, constantly. So I think it's fair to say it'd be quite difficult to actually buy a subscription to this at full price. Honestly, all the time since I subscribed, I had emails for 20% off, 30% off, 40% off, like all the time. Oh, someone's microwaving. Yeah. I can hear that.
Oh, sorry. We did warn about sound effects, didn't we?
We did. Yeah,
20%
take your drink
off. 20% off for the whole of May, because it's May.
Cool.
That's 20% off. £28 a month is the regular price.
I mean, it's weird as well. It surprised me. It came from the States, but I didn't get any import duty, so they must have some kind of thing in place for it. But it came all over. It took fucking forever shipping. Like, best part of a month. This thing's been coming my way. But you know, yeah, I'm not sure there's nearly 30 quid worth of stuff in that box.
It says
honestly,
it says it's worth $60 in
really?
value. Yeah, apparently.
As someone who does some work, shall we say, in this area, I'm not sure that's accurate. I don't know if maybe that collectible, the jawbone replica thing, the Monster Hunter thing, those things can sometimes be pricier than you think. That could push it up. But the T-shirt, I mean, I don't think that's worth much. Maybe a tenner. I don't know. It's fun though. You're paying for novelty, aren't you? You're paying for like, a Christmassy moment, you know, when you get it. So
yeah.
I'm not against the idea of it. And like I said, I'm going to see what the next two bring, and we'll discuss it afterwards as an overall concept.
Yeah, I guess if you're just ravenous for anything gaming related, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, especially if you're not near somewhere you can go for that sort of thing. Yeah. You know, I can imagine in the States where a lot of people aren't necessarily close by to a collectible shop or a game shop and stuff. You know, you only got the internet, haven't you? So maybe that's more appealing in that regard. So I think it's fun, it's silly, it's frivolous.
It tells you what the featured franchises are as well. So
does it? Coming
up, you've got Overwatch, Destiny 2, and Metroid in your next box.
Great, one of the three I care about. Awesome. Cool. Destiny would be the only one there. I didn't put it on my thing, actually, what I've been playing. I played all the new DLC, Warmind. I've kind of got back into the loop of it a bit. I'm up to like 3, 4, 5 power level. I'm enjoying it again. They did a big thing where they buffed a lot of their exotic weapons.
Yeah.
So they made exotics feel unique and powerful again, which makes them a lot more fun to use for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. That's really helpful for the end game because it makes it a lot more fun to be shooting, to be doing things like, do you remember the exotic pulse rifle that fired like a black hole guns, and then it would like cause detonations on the enemies? They massively buffed that, so it's now like you can clear a whole room because it'll do this thing. Whereas if you kill a guy with a headshot and it procs, then it will like chain reaction across to the next guy who then dies and procs, and you can just clear like ads, just they're all exploding,
cool.
in void damage, which is kind of fun. But yeah, I'm enjoying that again. Actually, I'm really back into Destiny. It's good. It's good stuff. How's why?
Well, it's one of those that you play if you had loads of time, but given the choice, I'll play something new. I would enjoy going back to Destiny. I've got so much else to do.
Have you? What else you got to do?
What have I got? Nier Automata is my next game, I think. I'm sure I've got a bunch of stuff on PlayStation that I need to go back to, but you know what it's like. Backlog as long as my arm, and you can't even remember what's on it. I would be searching through my library to see what I haven't played rather than go back to Destiny, I think.
I mean, that's fair. What else have you been playing? You're playing Celeste? How's that going?
Celeste is fantastic. I've been looking at my friends list to see who else is playing it, and literally nobody is. I don't know what's going on there. I have friends with poor taste, it appears. You need to get Celeste. It's really good.
I will. When it's on sale, I'll pick this. It's one of the things I want to pick up when there's a decent... I'm expecting a summer sale to hit quite soon on Xbox. So hopefully that'll be included in that. Yeah, it's just add it to the pile. I'd quite like it on Switch though, to be honest. I think that'd be the platform of choice that I'd go for.
I don't know if the controls would just be a bit too fiddly.
Yeah,
maybe if you've got a pro controller, that'd be okay. But there's a lot of deaths and retries involved in Celeste, like Meat Boy levels of death and retry. It's one of those precise, pixel perfect platformers where you can kind of work out what you've got to do, but pulling it all off in a sequence is really hard, and you'll end up spending ages trying to do it. So at the end of each level, it will tell you how many times you've died, and it's always in the hundreds.
Oh, Jesus, right, okay. That kind of game. I get you.
Yeah, like that. But the level design, the control mechanics, it's pristine. It's really, really tight, and I really enjoyed my way all through that game. I finished it in a couple of days. So although it's hard, it's not overly long. It doesn't really bash you over the head with making progress. It is doable, and it's based on like individual screens, like Meat Boy was, but with more of a narrative flow to it. So instead of disparate screens where you complete one, then just move on to the next or whatever, there is a theme to each of the levels, and you are traveling through either like a hotel or a mountain or a bunch of different environments. And there's a story attached to it as well. So there's kind of this sort of mental health motif to it, where the girl climbing the mountain, you can name her, call her whatever you like. Celeste refers to the mountain itself. It is Mount Celeste. And she's got to overcome this journey to the top of the mountain, which mirrors her journey to mental well-being as well.
Okay.
And yeah, I quite enjoyed that aspect of it too. But just as a pure video game, really, really tight design, well worth a try. Recommended.
All right. No, cool. I do want to play it. I mean, something else is on your list that I really want to play that I need to carve out time for, especially as it's in Game Pass. And I know Joel really enjoyed it, which is Laser League.
Yeah. I really didn't get this. I've probably played 3 or 4 games so far, and the first game I thought was absolute dog shit.
Oh.
But I think that was more because I just didn't get it. You need to play the tutorial first. Play the tutorial and work out what it is you're doing, because it just felt like anything I pressed did nothing whatsoever. And that's because there's virtually no controls in this game. You've got the analog stick and like an attack button, and that's it. And I think it's on one of the shoulder buttons. But this is basically online competitive sports game, either 2v2 or 3v3. I think you can do 4v4, but only offline.
Right.
So usually 2v2 or 3v3, and you're in kind of rollerball, speedball, stroke Tron pitch environment. It's kind of like an ice hockey rink, but all blacked out, like visually like Tron, very heavily inspired by that. And it borrows a lot from Bomberman as well. So with either your 1 or 2 partners, you've got to take out the opposing team, and you do this by activating moving laser towers in the environment. So these pillars just rise up from the floor and move left or right, up and down, or circle, whatever. And if you touch it, it emits coloured lasers in your team colours. Or if the opposing team gets to it first, it emits their colours. And you'll quickly have sort of a crisscross of laser grids that cut out sections of the environment for you to either hold the opposing team back, or for you to be cut off from where you need to get to by the opposing team. And the idea is to take out your opponents by using these laser grids. So there's different classes for you to do that. You've got classes that will sort of stun them, so they're stuck while a laser grid comes out on top of them. You can have classes that push people into the laser grids and stuff like that. So it's very much like Bomberman, just running about and using the one tool that you've got at your disposal to take your opponents out. And as the match progresses, more and more lasers appear, and it becomes more frenetic until pretty much there's no way of avoiding stuff.
Okay.
And yeah, it's really well designed, actually. There's one particular class which is a bit funny. Mark, who used to podcast with us, pointed it out, but I found the same experience myself. There's one class where you can use like a blade to just kill your enemies, and I thought that was a bit weird. That kind of undermines the point of the game, I think, and quite a few people seem to be using that. But other than that class, and hopefully they'll do something with that to balance it out a bit, really well designed. And the more you play, you can level up, buy different outfits, and design your character. And the aesthetic of it is just really cool.
Awesome, man. No, I know it did look super awesome. I do want to. It's got such a great look to it. I do definitely want to play that, I have to say. And you're back on Aaero.
Yeah.
Again. I mean, like, fair play, great game, absolutely fantastic game. But what made you go back?
DLC was on sale.
Yes.
So I went back for that and ended up playing loads of the main game again, because it's one of those, for anyone who's not played it, please go and buy Aaero. I'm not sure how well it's done, because looking at the scoreboards, the leaderboards aren't that populated. So I'm figuring either they've reset it a lot or no one bought it. It's a rhythm action game where you use an analog stick to guide your way along an analog path in time to music, while with the other stick you're aiming at enemies and shooting them in rhythm like Res. It's just so well.
It's kind of like Thumper crossed with Res, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like playing both of those games at the same time.
Yeah.
And it takes a bit of getting used to, but when you do, it feels like playing a musical instrument almost, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's fucking awesome, mate. It's one of the best. It's one of the best translations of music into action onto the screen I've ever experienced.
Yeah, but it doesn't give you all of the tracks up front, so you need to unlock them by doing well in previous tracks. So if you get like 5 stars, then that gives you more stars towards the next track. You might need to get 20 to unlock it, so you've got to do 4 of the previous ones to get it, that sort of thing. But with the DLC, that's extra stars, so you can unlock stuff that you might not have been able to get to before.
Oh, high-level hacks.
Yeah, so the DLC stuff is quite easy compared to some of the other standard tracks. You can use that to get your unlocks on the higher difficulty settings. There's 3 difficulty settings. I've pretty much got to the finish of the 2nd difficulty. Oh, I have, yeah. So I've finished the 2 difficulty settings, the normal one and the higher one, and then the ultimate one. I've just started doing that. So really into this game again.
Awesome. It's our kind of music, isn't it? It always helps when you play a rhythm music game, which the music is something you really enjoy, and I fucking the way the music and the action matches up in that game is just so brilliant. Like, oh my god, so brilliant.
Awesome,
fantastic stuff. Yeah, developer is Mad Fellows, isn't it? So props to them. Small little indie outfit in the UK. They know what they're doing. I will be interested to see what they do next. Actually, they've actually just about to put out a limited physical release of the game with a manual and all kinds of stuff like that. So, hopefully that means there must be a fan base. You know, there must be people interested. Maybe it's done better on other platforms, Rich. I mean, that's possible, I suppose, isn't it? You know, if you talk about your leaderboards.
Yeah. I don't know. The leaderboards seem a bit flaky. Sometimes they just don't load at all. So I wonder if it has had some resets or whatever.
Okay, fair enough. I think we're about at the end of this podcast. What do you think, Rich? Anything else you wanted to bring up?
There's nothing else on the list, and I'm quite keen to go and show my wife that Duke.
You need to put the cell on her, mate. Yeah, cell on her hard. Just look at the screen. It lights up. 70 quid for that. And it's just, honestly, it's like holding 15-year-old nostalgia in my hands. Like, seriously, it's so weird. Just takes me back to that day in March when I came home on launch day with that Xbox with Halo and Product Gotham Racing and another controller. And that was, connected up to in my bedroom to my 14-inch CRT TV. You know, I just fucking hell, man. That was what gaming was for me. Just 16 years ago now, isn't it? Yeah. So I remember it like that's crazy. I'm playing with my brother. You know, and then I remember I imported the S controller from Japan before it got released in the West because it was originally designed for the Japanese market. Yeah, no, it literally. Yeah. That is literally why they did it.
Not being racist, that is literally why they did it.
That is literally why they did it. Yeah. I can't believe that after all these years, they were able to come back and like acknowledge the fact that this is an iconic piece of gaming hardware. You know, so it's super, super cool to have. And to be able to play it on my Xbox One. I think that's just, man, Xbox is doing so many cool, interesting things, man. I can't wait to see what's going to come out at E3. You know, there's going to be some swerves. There's going to be some surprises. You know, look where backwards compatibility was 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Look where it's at now. It's mad how many games are available in that service. Original Xbox games as well. I mean, it's so cool what they're doing and how it's going to go forward from here. You know, so
the amount of care they're giving to their sort of, I was going to say fan base, but I don't know if you can say fan base for a brand like Xbox. I don't know, maybe you can, but whatever. They're doing so much for their customers now in terms of encouraging loyalty and fostering goodwill. Yeah, it is exciting to see if they'll.
I mean, on the next show with Joel, we'll do E3 predictions and proper rundown of the conferences. But I just want to mention, it's mind-blowing to me that Sony aren't doing a conference. They're only doing a live stream focusing on 4 games. I mean, that's crazy, yeah? I mean...
Complacent, do you think?
Or is it just... I mean, does E3 need to exist? Probably not. I mean, you could just do streams now and... you know, news throughout the year. You don't really need this big central event, but it sure is fun, you know, to watch and to cover. I really enjoy it every year. So I would miss it if it went away, but.
Well, it shows how the audience for it has changed because it used to be primarily an industry thing. If it's not anymore, yeah, you're right. It doesn't need to be in a venue. Just put it online.
Yep. Give me a curious one. Exciting times. And with that, I think we're going to wrap up In Sickness and in Health, episode 46 of the Bxb Bits and Bobs podcast. Please head over to bxbgames.co.uk to check out the website. Lots of written reviews. I'm doing written reviews now because I'm reviewing Switch games. So, you know, you can read my writing and go, yeah, not bad. And you can read Joel's writing and go, very good. And then you can read Richard's and go, oh, damn, he do writing. He do writing. When he has time to play games.
Sometimes.
Yeah, when he has the time.
Sometimes he does.
Sometimes he do. Well, we got one in June coming up. Maybe there'll be something before then. Who knows? Yeah, and then get over to iTunes, rate and review us. That really helps with visibility of the podcast. YouTube is where all the video content goes. There's fucking so many videos on there now. It's crazy. It's doing really well. YouTube, we're getting like new subscribers all the time. I might do a new intro video actually because that was a while back. So that's doing well. Yeah, like to do some streaming. Joel keeps promising me streaming. I'm gonna needle him until he does that because he's got a really fancy setup and he was gonna stream some N64 games. And I'm like, yeah, do it, man. That'd be really cool. We'd like to watch that. Get a bit of nostalgia there. That'd be fun. So I'm gonna try when he comes back from his 5th or 6th holiday. I'll try and mention that to him if I can find the time. You know, amongst the holidays. Yeah. So thank you very much for watching and listening to this podcast. We'll be back. Goddamn, E3's just around the corner. It's getting exciting here. We're gonna have I'll be doing loads of coverage for that. Live tweeting, write-ups, you name it. That's going to be happening. Joel's going to be sitting in with the daily podcast with me as well, as much as he can. Richard, you're more than welcome, but I understand if you can't. Timings can be funny, especially when it's 2 in the morning for Bethesda or something like I'm expecting it to be. And Nintendo was like 5 in the morning last year. Fuck me, that killed me. So yeah, fun and games. Emphasis on the games. Hopefully me and Richard will be feeling better for next time. So fingers crossed for that. So until then, it is goodbye from me, Ben, and it's goodbye from Richard.
Goodbye.
Bye.